Hello friends, welcome to the video lecture series on digital image processing. I am Dr. Dafda, and in this 77th video class of DIP, we will understand KL transform in digital image processing and its implementation in MATLAB. So we will understand the concepts of KL transform as well as we will solve one example of KL transform, and of course we will also implement it in MATLAB. In one of my video classes, I received this comment to make videos on various types of image transforms such as Walsh, Hadamard, DCT, DWT, etc. So DCT we have already studied in our video class number 46. DWT we have already understood in video lecture number 47 and 63. And in our previous video class we understood Walsh, Hadamard transform. In this video class we will understand the KL transform. Why its name is KL transform? It is named after its inventors Karhunen-Loewe, and the Karhunen-Loewe transform or KLT was originally introduced as a series expansion for continuously random processes by Karhunen and Loewe. But for discrete signals, Hotelling first studied what was called a method of principal components, which is the discrete equivalent of the KL series expansion. Consequently, the KL transform is also called the Hotelling transform or the method of principal components, and the term KLT is most widely used. Okay, so let us start. So very first thing is, what is the meaning of transform? See, transform means transformation from one domain to other domain. For example, Fourier transform transfers image from spatial domain to frequency domain. And next question is, why do we use transforms? Because it enables the identification of features that may not be easily detected in the spatial domain. The reasons for transforming an image from one representation to another are: the transformation may isolate critical components of image pattern so that they are directly accessible for analysis, and also the transformation may place the image data in more compact form so that they can be stored and transmitted efficient. Let us first understand the introduction of KL transforms. The KL transform is also known as Hotelling transform or eigenvector transform. What is eigenvector? An eigenvector is a vector that when multiplied by a matrix gives a scaled version of itself. So this eigenvector normally represents the direction or pattern in the image, and also is important the eigenvalue, which represents the scale factor by which the eigenvector is stretched or compressed during the transformation. So these eigenvectors represent the principal components or dominant patterns in the data, and the corresponding eigenvalues indicate the importance or significance of each eigenvector. So in practical terms, the eigenvectors obtained from the KL transform can be used to perform a decorrelation of the image data, and by choosing a subset of the most significant eigenvectors, one can efficiently represent the image in a reduced dimensional space, leading to image compression. And these eigenvectors are often referred to as the principal components. Why? Because they capture the major modes of variation in the data. So it is very important in image compression application. So coming back to our main slide, the KL transform is based on the statistical properties of the image, that is the eigenvectors and the eigenvalue. And remember, as the name suggests, eigenvector means the direction of spread of data. Vector means direction, right? And eigenvalue means the magnitude or amplitude of spread of data. So the KL transform matrix is a statistical matrix which is most optimum, and hence it is very useful in image compression. And unlike other transforms like DFT, DCT, where the transformation metrics are fixed, in KL transform the kernel is derived from the statistical data, right? And that is the reason why it is optimum. So from the statistical data, we can decorrelate the data and more image compression can be achieved. So the degree of compression that will be achieved will be much higher, of course at the rate of higher computation that is required. Okay, so these are the steps to find the KL transform. Find the mean vector and covariance matrix of the given image X. Number 2, find the eigenvalues and then eigenvectors of the covariance matrix. Number 3, create the transformation matrix T such that rows of T are eigenvectors. And number 4, find the KL transform. Let us understand with one example. So remember, the KL transformation matrix is different for different images, and therefore it is optimum. Okay, and we have to find that particular KL transformation matrix and then apply that matrix to our image. Say for example, we have to perform KL transform for the following matrix or for this image X. Okay, in step 1, we have to form vectors from the given matrix. As it is a 2 by 2 matrix, we can extract two vectors from it, 4, -1 and -2, 3. So let these two vectors are x0 and x1. So x0 will be equal to 4 -1 and x1 will be equal to -2, 3. Okay. Step 2, determination of the covariance matrix from these vectors. The formula to find the covariance matrix is given by covariance of x is equal to expected or mean of x transpose minus x bar transpose, where x bar is the mean of the input matrix. So first we will find out the mean of the input matrix, that is x bar. So x bar can be found using the formula 1 upon m summation of k is equal to 0 to m minus 1 xk, where m is the number of factors. So here capital M is 2. So we will write 1 upon 2. K is equal to 0 to 1 because we have two values x0 and x1, summation of xk. So 1 upon 2 x0 plus x1. So we will write 1 upon 2. X0 is 4 minus 1. X1 is minus 2, 3. And solving this, we will obtain 1, 1. So the mean value that we have found out is x bar is equal to 1, 1. And what we want? We want x bar into x bar transpose. Okay, so we have to multiply this 1, 1 to the transpose of this. And when we do the transpose, the column matrix will become the row matrix. Okay, so x bar transpose is equal to 1, 1 multiplied by 1, 1, which will give us a 2 cross 2 matrix 1, 1, 1, 1. Now to find the expected value of x into x transpose, again same formula is used. 1 upon m, k is equal to 0 to m minus 1, xk into xk transpose. Here m is equal to 2. So we will write 1 upon 2, k is equal to 0 to 1. Xk means x0 into x0 transpose plus x1 into x1 transpose. So 1 upon 2, x0 is 4 minus 1 and transpose of this is 4 minus 1 in the row form. Similarly for x1, solving which we get 2 minus 1 minus 1 1 as the expected value of x transpose. So now the covariance matrix is the subtraction of this minus this. So this value is this matrix which is written over here minus this value is this matrix which we have to write here. And we get the answer 1 minus 2 minus 2 0. Okay. In next step we have to determine the eigenvalues from the covariance matrix which we have obtained. So to find the eigenvalues lambda, we solve the characteristic equation. Determinant of covariance of x minus lambda of I, that is identity matrix, is equal to 0. So determinant of covariance of x we have found out to be 1 minus 2 minus 2 0. See here we have found out 1 minus 2 minus 2 0. Minus of lambda is the eigenvalue, okay, which we are obtaining. And identity matrix for a 2 cross 2 matrix is 1 0 0 1 is equal to 0. Solving this, we obtain the equation lambda square minus lambda minus 4 which is equal to 0. So this is the quadratic equation, solving which we obtain lambda 0 and lambda 1. In next step, from these eigenvalues we have to determine the eigenvectors of the covariance matrix. So these eigenvectors we will name as phi 0 and phi 1 because there will be two eigenvectors corresponding to two eigenvalues. So the first eigenvector phi 0 is found from the equation covariance of x minus lambda 0 I into phi 0. So covariance of x minus lambda 0 into I into phi 0 is equal to covariance of x is 1 minus 2 minus 2 0 minus lambda 0 is 2.5615 into I, that is 1001. So it will come out to be this into phi 0 we will write as phi 00 and phi 01 because it is a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, so this will be equal to 0. So solving this, we obtain this equation, and from this equation we can write down phi 00 upon phi 01 is equal to 2 upon minus 1.5615, which is equal to minus 1.2808. So we have just taken this minus 2 phi of 01 to the other side of the equation and solved it, and phi 01 will be a free variable, so we will choose it as 1. So the first eigenvector which we obtain, phi 0, will be equal to minus 1.2808 upon 1, that is phi 00 upon phi 01. Similarly, we find the next eigenvector using the same procedure. In next step we have to do the normalization of the eigenvectors that we have obtained. And why do we need to normalize the eigenvectors? Because normalized vectors or unit vectors are extremely useful for providing directions of principal components, and we know that any vector when normalized only changes the magnitude, not its direction. Okay, formula to normalize is given by phi 0 upon norm of phi 0, which is given by this equation, which will give us these values. Similarly, the normalization of the given eigenvector phi 1 is obtained like this. So now these normalized values of phi 0 and phi 1 are used to form the KL transformation matrix. An important point to remember over here is that in the KL transformation matrix, we have to write the eigenvectors corresponding to the largest eigenvalues first. That means lambda maximum should be greater than lambda, lambda, lambda up to lambda minimum. The least one should be written at the end. Okay, and the largest value should be written first. So here the eigenvector obtained from the largest value is already written first. Okay, see here lambda 0, which is our largest eigenvalue, is already coming first. So the eigenvector that is obtained for this lambda 0 will be written first over here, which comes out to be this matrix. Now we can also check whether this matrix is correct or not by multiplying it by its transpose. That should give us the identity matrix. When we do T into T transpose, we get, this is our T matrix and this is T transpose matrix, where the rows and columns are interchanged. We get the values like this, which is approximately equal to 1001. So this is a identity matrix. That means that it is orthonormal and the matrix which we have obtained is correct. Now in next step, we apply our KL transformation matrix to our input image or input matrix. And for that, we use the equation output image y is equal to transformation matrix into input matrix. So we will write y0 is equal to t into x0, and our x0 is 4 minus 1 and x1 is minus 2, 3. So after multiplication, we obtain values like this. This is y0 and this is y1. So the final KL transform of input image matrix which we obtain comes out to be like this. Now to check our answer whether we are getting the correct answer or not, we can reconstruct the input values from the transformed coefficients. So to do this reconstruction, we can use the formula x is equal to t transpose into y, where y is the obtained result. So this is our t transpose. We multiply it by y0. This is our y0, this one, we obtain values like this, and similarly for y1 we obtain the values like this. And when we form the matrix, this comes out to be 4 minus 2 minus 1, 3. So this was our input image from where we started. We can see here, this is that input image. The KL transform is not widely used as the DCT or DFT. The reasons being it is input dependent and does not have a unique mathematical structure, as well as it is computationally very complex, as we just understood in the example. These are the applications of KL transform. It is used in clustering analysis to cluster the principal components or main components, and therefore it is called principal component analysis. And it is heavily used for image compression because it gives the optimal transformation matrix. Let us implement image compression using KL transform. So that is all for this video class. You can find the link to download the PPTs in the description box, as well as you will also find the MATLAB code in the description box. Thank you very much.